Hello everyone and welcome to another video. As you can tell by the title of today's video, this is going to be a very interesting conversation. But before we jump into the video, I do want to thank today's video sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online community with thousands of online classes to choose from and members across 150 countries who come together to find inspiration and take the next step in their creative journey. It's a place to get inspired, learn new skills, and put them to work in impactful ways. I joined Skillshare because I want to take the next step in my online career. As you guys obviously know, I am a YouTuber. I also have an active TikTok and Instagram account, but I really want to get serious about turning my online passion into an actual career. Thankfully, Skillshare has tons of videos on how to do just that. I took a course called Start Your Creative Career, Build a Sharp, Smart Online Presence with Sonia Rasula, who is an entrepreneur. Sonia covered topics such as how to think of yourself as a business, how to use your social media to really grow your followers, and so much more. I walked away from this class with tons of new tools that I can use to make my dream into a reality. Skillshare has thousands of videos for anyone who wants to explore their creativity and learn a new skill. From cooking to video editing, Skillshare has a video for you. And I have an amazing deal for you guys today, so you can also take advantage of all the classes that Skillshare has to offer. The first 1,000 people to use this link will have a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Click the link in the description box to join Skillshare and learn a new skill today. Now let's get into today's video. 5 things that Swedes do not like about America. Before we start, guys, just want to say this video is meant to be lighthearted. Some sensitive topics might come up for some people, but please try to remember that everybody has a different opinion, whether it be politics, religion. Everyone's opinion is different, so please don't start fights in the comments box below this video. Thank you. Let's just all take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Okay, let's go. So, in order to find out what Swedes do not like about America, I polled my Instagram followers. I asked them, what do you not like about America if you are Swedish or you live in Sweden? And a lot of these things I already knew because I have conversations with people who live here in Sweden, and the same topics tend to come up. So, I have listed them in order of the most hated thing that was the most common answer to the least common answer. And I'm also going to give you some extra little bonus answers at the end that did not make it into the top 5 list of hated things about America. Now, the number one thing, apparently, that Swedish people do not like about America is the gun laws. Now, I think a lot of American people can actually agree on this one, and I think a lot of people around the world can agree on this one. Now, obviously, the gun laws in the US and the gun laws in Sweden are much, much different. In the US, in some states, all you need is to be 18 years old and have some sort of license, driver's license. You can go into a Walmart and buy a gun. Now, that would basically be impossible in Sweden for many reasons. Number one, they don't even have Walmart. But it would be crazy to do that here in Sweden. You couldn't do that. The only reason, as far as I know, that you can buy a gun in Sweden is for hunting purposes. Now, in the US, you can also buy a gun for hunting, but you can also buy a gun to carry with you wherever you want. In some states, you can just have a gun in your pocket. There's a carry law, it's called, and you have the right to walk around with a gun, with a loaded gun. You can tell by my reaction how I feel about this, but this video is not about me. It is about what Swedish people do not like about America. So the first most popular answer was the gun laws. The second thing that most Swedish people hate about America is the new abortion law, or should I say anti-abortion law. So unless you have been living under a rock, you have probably heard about the Roe v. Wade being overturned a few weeks ago in the US, which means that women no longer have safe or legal access to abortion nationwide. It is now up to each state to go against that and make abortion legal, as opposed to before where abortion was legal nationwide and it was up to each state if they wanted to make it illegal. So as of now, I know a bunch of states have now made it illegal. It is still legal in a few states. Those are more Democratic states than Republican, but for those who wish to get an abortion and live in a state where it's illegal, they would have to travel to a different state to get a legal abortion, or they would have to get one done illegally, which is extremely dangerous. And if the government finds out about it, both the woman and the doctor can be sentenced to prison. I know in some states, they are now treating it, if you get an abortion in the state where it's illegal, they are treating it as manslaughter, so you would get the same jail sentence as if you murdered someone. So, yeah, seems that most Swedes agree with me on this opinion. But once again, oh, I made it about myself. This video is not about my own opinions, this is about Swedish opinions. So getting back to the Swedish opinions. Third thing that Swedes hate about America is the lack of universal health care. So here in Sweden, health care is included in the taxes that you pay, and in the US it is not. We do not have any form of universal health care. It's up to each individual to get health insurance themselves or get it covered through their work. So if you are sick and you have to go to the hospital, or if you get in a car accident, you have to go to the hospital and you do not have health insurance, you can expect your hospital bill to be sometimes in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Even giving birth, if you don't have health insurance. I saw one TikTok video of a woman in California. Her bill was $36,000 to have a baby, and she stayed overnight at the hospital for one night. So, yes, the lack of universal health care is obviously something that to Swedish people, it's insane that you would have to pay that much money just to go to the hospital, which they feel like is a right as a human being, is to have health care. They don't feel like it's a right depending on how much money you earn. You might have health care, and if you don't earn a lot of money, then you can't afford health care. I mean, it is a basic human right to be treated equally if you're sick. Doesn't matter how much money you make. So that is the fourth thing that that is the third thing that Swedes do not like about the US. The fourth most popular hated thing about the US that Swedes say, said that weird, is the need to drive everywhere. In the US, even if you live in a city, for example, I lived in Los Angeles for almost 10 years, and you need a car. It's one of the most popular cities in the world, but the public transportation is horrible. I mean, the subway only goes a few places, and the buses are atrocious. It's filled with, not that there's anything wrong with homeless people, but the buses are really treated as shelter for homeless people in LA, in a lot of places in LA. So you'll find a lot of people sleeping on the bus, hanging out on the bus, just because it's some form of shelter. And if you take the bus in LA, it's definitely looked down upon. Like, ooh, you can't afford a car, you have to take the bus. And here in Sweden, it's completely normal to take the bus or the train everywhere. If you're a working professional, if you're a student, if you're a young person, everybody takes public transportation, and you absolutely can live without a car in a city. I'm sure in villages it's a little bit harder. Even walking in the US, a lot of places don't have sidewalks, which makes it extremely dangerous to walk because most people are driving right past you. And especially if you're with children, then you definitely don't want to walk in the road. So yes, the need to drive everywhere is definitely something that is completely different than in Sweden, and I can absolutely see why a lot of Swedish people would not like this about the US. The fifth thing that most Swedish people do not like about America is the American ignorance towards other countries and other cultures. So as an American, I can completely understand where Swedes are coming from when they say this. I think that a lot of Americans are, I want to say, almost a little brainwashed that we have the best country in the world and we have the best government in the world, although a lot of Americans are starting to kind of wake up and see that this isn't necessarily true now that, you know, the politics are going the way that they are going. But there is definitely a sense of ignorance when you speak to most Americans, and they don't really know how life is in any other country. And when you kind of ask them, you know, why don't you feel the need to expand your knowledge outside of the country that you live in, they say, well, why would I? You know, I don't live there, I live here. And a lot of Swedish people have traveled to different places because they're centered in basically like the perfect spot in Europe, so they have a good flight landing off area. You know, they can travel to other countries relatively quickly and see how life is there and learn about their other cultures, whereas in America we can travel to Canada, which is not necessarily that much different than the American culture, and we can also travel to Mexico, but we really only travel to Mexico to go to resorts. And how much can you learn about a country and a culture just staying at a 5-star resort on the beach in Cabo, honestly? Really, it's quite far to travel to Europe from the US. I mean, I live in New Jersey, and I live on the coast, so I can fly directly to Sweden or Europe, and it's still an 8-hour journey to Sweden, and it does get pretty expensive with buying international plane tickets. So I'm just saying, perhaps that's a reason why the US, why Americans don't really know about other cultures, other countries, why they haven't traveled there that much. But obviously I know there is the internet, you know, we can expand our knowledge and learn about other countries and cultures without going there. But I definitely do understand what Swedish people say and what they mean when they say that the Americans are quite ignorant towards other countries and other cultures. So those were the top 5 things that Swedes do not like about America, but there were some other things that people mentioned that I just wanted to touch on. So another thing that Swedes do not like is the stressful work culture that we have in America, which I can completely understand because we have this attitude like we have to work harder and we have to work longer hours, we have to make more money, and our work time is valued more over our free time, whereas in Sweden the work-life balance is very even, and I want to almost say it's more about life balance than work balance. You know, a lot of Swedish jobs give a month of vacation, paid time off every year, so Swedes get a really nice vacation, and I think that's like insane to Americans. That would be like the best dream job ever, to get a month off, because most people get maybe 2 weeks of vacation if you're lucky. Someone also wrote this that I thought was really interesting: the cashiers do not sit down. So here in Sweden, I never really thought about it. The cashiers, when you buy food or something, they have a little chair, and in the US they don't. They're standing, at least at most places that you go to, they're standing, and that was something that I never really thought about until this person wrote it. So that is very true. Maybe they care less about the workers in the US than they do here in Sweden. I don't know. Or maybe it's just cheaper that they don't have to buy them chairs to sit in. Someone also wrote they do not like that there are different laws in different states, which is true depending on which state you are, like we talked about before with the abortion law. There's different laws. For example, also there's different driving laws. Like in New Jersey, where I'm from, it is legal to make a right on red, at a red light after you stop. You can make a full stop, and if there's no one coming, you can make a right turn. But in another state, I don't know which one specifically, but I know in a lot of other states that's illegal, so you have to wait until the light turns green, and I'm pretty sure it's the same here in Sweden. You have to wait until the light turns green. Someone also wrote they don't like that the tax is not included. So when you go to the cash register to pay, they will add tax at the cash register. But this kind of goes along with different laws in different states, because this is also true. In New Jersey, for example, we do not have added tax on clothes and food. So a lot of people actually come to New Jersey to go clothes shopping, since you don't have to also pay for the tax. And the last thing that somebody wrote is they do not like the death penalty, which Sweden does not have the death penalty. And in the US, we have the death penalty, but it also depends on which state. So you will be eligible for the death penalty depending on which state you committed the crime in. And I can completely understand why people wouldn't like that, because, you know, this is a whole nother topic for another video, but I think for a lot of people it's hard to understand why it would be okay to take somebody's life. Well guys, thank you so much for watching this video, the top 5 things that Swedes do not like about America. If there are other things that you don't like about America, feel free to leave them below. But again, as I said in the beginning of this video, let's take this video lighthearted, and please don't go too deep into things that we hate, because it's never nice to talk about such negative things on the internet, because we all know how that goes. It doesn't end well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram, and follow me on TikTok, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great day. Hey-do. Bye.